Hello, everyone, and I'm so excited to welcome you all to today's live because it's one of the favorite topics today, um, social media. We are having a special guest today from Hubilo, Amanda Harrison, who is the social media manager for Hubilo. We are going to learn about the strategy, about content creation, about best channels, about the challenges and opportunities of all the social media platforms available out there because it's not that easy to be on every platform. But today we're also going to talk about specifically about B2B, so social media for B2B companies. Um, Before we get into the questions, I want to give the word to Amanda to introduce yourself, and we have a little surprise for you before we get into the main discussion.
Yes, thank you, Irina, for having me. I'm excited to be here. My name is Amanda. I am the social media manager for Hubelo. I've been with the company for about 9 months now, and it has been quite a ride. We have had so much happening in such a short amount of time. And this is my first time in the events industry doing social media. So this is a whole new world for me, but in the social realm, and I really enjoy doing it. So I'm happy to be here today to discuss all things social media and hopefully bring a couple pointers here that people can take away and use for their next project.
Awesome. So I would love to invite the audience to ask you questions as we go along. Don't wait until the end. You can ask questions anytime and we'll address them straight away. But before we start, we just found out that we read the same book, which I posted on social media. And that's the power of social media because you get to connect with people with same interests, same passions. And that's what connects us. To share our passions, our interests, and network, and discuss about topics that we care the most. And Creativity Inc. is a story about Pixar, and they produce animated movies. And before we go into our discussion, why don't you share one takeaway from this book?
Yeah, so I was really excited because I was on the Hublot Instagram and I saw Irina had posted this book for the book club this month. If you're interested in social media, in movies, in Pixar, anything Disney related, I highly recommend. But this is a really fun read. And so the one thing that I wanted to point out in this book is a quote that comes from the author Ed Catmull. And he says, "Don't wait for things to be perfect before you share them with others. Show them early and show them often." And I love that piece because that's something I'm very creative and I love being part of the brainstorming process, but I'm very well aware that I may not have the best idea or something that I've thought of may string to an incredible idea. So in our weekly meetings at Hubelo, I often will just throughout the week I'll write all these bullet points down, and then when I get into my meeting with my team or my boss, I just start listing them off. And some of them I preface with, this is just an idea, guys. You don't have to listen to it. But there's some that have come to fruition and have, we've taken and moved around. And so I love that piece. Yeah. Don't wait to share your ideas. People can bring things on and you guys can build something bigger and greater.
Definitely. There's so many great insights there, and I'm making a list that I'm going to share at the book club. But one of the ideas that stood out with me is that they have a group that is called Brain Trust, and they analyze the first drafts of the movie and they give feedback. And one of such feedbacks on one of the first drafts was that it's not about being authentic, that the characters, they don't have to be authentic. The movie have to make the audience invested in the story. And I found this very interesting because often in the events industry or on social media, we talk about authenticity, that you have to show your authentic self, but it's not just about authenticity. You have to make the audience invested in the story. So it's a process that you have to share throughout. So yeah, I'm super excited about this discussion on the 24th of August. And this will be part of the event series, actually, the event that is happening now on Hubilo, that is happening now July until December, and there will be lots of sessions happening, and some of them are the book clubs. So yeah, this is the read for August book club, so we'll talk about it more. But now let's get into our main discussion. And why don't you give me an overview of all the platforms where Hubilo is present?
Yeah, so right now, Hubilo has a focus on 4 main platforms, or 5 main platforms would be LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And those are our 5 main platforms right now. We do have a TikTok, but that will come in good time, and when we can really put some love and care and attention into it.
Yeah, and actually today there is a new update from Instagram that came, and we'll get to Instagram later. But yeah, TikTok, Instagram, that's a quite interesting thing going on there. And why do B2B companies need to be present on social media? Because this is a business heavily reliant on the personal connections and the face-to-face encounter.
Yeah, so B2B is it's so important to be on social. Whether there's a difference in how you present B2B versus B2C to your clients. On social, it's going to be a little bit more synonymous. I don't think it matters whether you're B2B or B2C. You should be on social. B2C, you're thinking about your consumers being on their cell phone, and all the tracking, and they just maybe opened an ad, and we've thought about all that. B2B, just because it's a company, those people in the company are still on social. They're still seeing those ads. So there is the differentiation in how you present it, B2B, B2C, but they're all on social. It doesn't, everybody's got, most people have a LinkedIn page. So whether you're B2B, B2C, everybody should be on social. And it's really going to be dependent on how you proactively put out your content. Obviously, B2B, you may be trying to get people to buy into a product or service, something that's a little bit more of a heavier decision. Whereas B2C, there's a lot of people who are selling, obviously, direct to consumer, and it could be $10 items and trinkets, and that's a lot easier of a decision. So when you're presenting in B2B, be a lot more strategic about what you're doing, but also have fun with it. Creativity is a huge piece on social nowadays. You could pay millions of dollars to be at the Super Bowl, in the US. They pay millions of dollars for a 30-second 30-second slot, and you could get the same engagement, if not more, on a TikTok ad.
Yeah, what was one of the most popular ads, this moving QR code, right? You remember this? And it cost a lot of money, but it was so simple, but people had fun with it. So yeah, have fun with social media.
Sure.
And I agree with you. B2B, the decision process is so much longer. You need a lot of information, actually. So that means you need to post often. You need to provide your customer with a lot of references, testimonials to help them make their purchase decision. And the results are not immediate because you're not buying a $10 product, as you mentioned. It's so much more difficult.
Right. And I think there's a huge difference because and I love this piece in marketing, this saying, for marketing, you're really, the whole point in marketing and social media is not to get people to buy right away. It's to be top of mind and first of mind when those people are ready to buy. And that's a huge differentiation in B2B and B2C, because a lot of B2C, you're on TikTok and you're on Instagram. And I mean, even with the update on Instagram a couple months ago with the shopping button where they put it front and center, B2C, you're right there. You're trying to get that to consumer to add it to their cart, to bookmark their page. But with our content in B2B, you're trying to get people to come back and reread your blogs and revisit your live streams. And consistency is a huge part, which you touched on.
Yeah. And stay on top of mind. Absolutely. If you're talking about hybrid events, for example, and then people can associate you with, oh, hybrid events, Jubilo, for example. And I love especially when I'm tagged in posts. So for example, today I was tagged in a post about sustainability. So someone posted looking for sustainable event professionals for a project, and someone tagged me, Irina, do you know someone? And it's so nice when you are on top of mind and people ask you things because as I think about you as related to the topic in question. So yeah, definitely top of mind, such a good quote. I will use it for to read this interview afterwards. So, and what do you think about posting from the personal account versus the company account? I really struggle with this. I do see more traction from a personal account, and I think also social media platforms, they prefer the personal, right?
Yeah. So, as a social media manager, I guess I don't have a definitive answer, which is probably not the best answer I could give. But I think they need to work in parallel to one another. While we really put forth like our value in hearing from our friends and direct consumers who have just bought this item, which is why reviews are so important. And Amazon, you think about all the reviews that come in on Amazon, people will change their decision in an instant because of the influence of somebody who's already purchased the item. I it's different because a lot of the work that I do is always based on a company. And I know that social media managers will often joke that we post, 300 whatever days a year, but how many times did we post on our own accounts during the year? It's almost a little bit of like, it's a joke in the community, I guess, a little bit. And it's funny, but it's also true. Because my social media, I mean, I was telling my boss a couple of weeks ago, I probably have almost a dozen LinkedIn articles that I need to publish. I just haven't. I'm always thinking about the creativity piece and what things need to go out, and descriptions and copy and all these things. And sometimes my own personal social gets put to the side. But that doesn't mean that somebody from my company posting about a new UI design or a new product feature, that could absolutely blow up and go viral or become a content piece that they start connecting and we get new leads from. It's dependent on how you really present it. And I think there's value in both.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that you might see something first on the personal account of an employee, but then you will go and you check out the company and you just have all the pieces of the puzzle together. So it's different content. Both are very valuable, and you need them both. I do struggle to publish on my company account. I wish I had more time, but yeah, most of my content goes on my personal account. But you need them both, and I wish that I had more time to do it. And I'm looking for ways to automate this process. I still don't have answers. So if anyone watching in the comments, please share any tips for this. And yeah, as we go along, please don't hesitate to ask your questions. I can see that we have few people watching, so that's your chance to have your questions answered live. Okay, so I think we talked about LinkedIn enough. Let's go to Instagram and TikTok. LinkedIn is about business. It has this formality that you should only talk about business-related topics. But what about TikTok? What about Instagram from a brand business perspective?
So this is a new one for me. When I joined Hubelo, I was working for myself beforehand, which was something completely new to me. And in doing so, I was still completely active in running social for my own business as well as other consulting jobs I was doing. But that kind of took me out of the realm of understanding TikTok from a business perspective. I was only consuming. So when I came to Hublo and there was an interest in getting TikTok started, I froze a little bit because I'm a social media manager and I'm like, I don't know necessarily what the best way to go about TikTok is. But, we won't talk about that. I'll talk about all the ways that I can really help improve the other platforms. I think the biggest piece to understand about social is repurposing content. It has to be done right. Um, for instance, there's a difference between taking, commercial type videos that you're and ads that you're running on YouTube, repurposing those for TikTok and IG Reels. It's not necessarily going to work unless you fit it to that format. So we can talk about repurposing all we want, and it's an important piece. You want to be able to have consistency across all platforms, but it's also a piece that I think a lot of social media managers and people even in marketing are beginning to understand more, is that TikTok is its own beast. I mean, it's on a whole nother level from Twitter, from Facebook, from LinkedIn. I mean, the community aspect of it is insane. The commentary, the engagement. I mean, we've never seen anything like it. And the education factor. You can go on there and just you can learn how to build a house.
Yeah.
And you can learn how to do it in short form in 30 seconds or under 3 minutes. And then you may go to their YouTube page and see the 10-minute build. But it's really incredible. And, as I said in the beginning of that piece, was that, it's really important for TikTok and IG or Instagram to really think about what content you can repurpose, but also what content needs to be created specifically for that platform.
Definitely. I think TikTok is growing and I still don't have the full grasp of it. It's amazing that you can be discovered, you can go viral. Gary Vee did a video recently explaining the value of TikTok. So he said that Facebook started in a way that you rely on recommendations of your friends. You see what your friends are doing, and then you follow, and you might buy the products. But TikTok, in comparison, it shows you your interests. They're not based on the people you know. It's just based on your interests. And that's a phenomenal change. That's really the future, that you can learn, as you said. You can discover new hobbies. You can, it's just incredible, the type of things you learn there, like crypto or what else? Investment, for example. It's crazy. It's really crazy.
I mean, it's a short form YouTube. And if you look at that in both of the platforms, YouTube took on TikTok. They started doing YouTube shorts and they realized that, okay, people are here to consume hour-and-a-half long docus, interviews that are 45 minutes long. There's no problem in the time that people want to, the amount of time that people want to invest in consuming. But the short form content will bring people in and hopefully get them hooked enough to continue to come back to consume a lot more of your other content. And I see that somebody has written here. Yes, thank you. Potential corporate clients on TikTok. I thought it was more for younger users. Yes and no. So I think there's going to be a difference as far as B2B and B2C. TikTok's going to be a little different for sure. I'm trying to understand the B2B side of it because we don't necessarily have a product that's going to be a B2C type delivery. We really like people aren't going to see our ads and instantly say, okay, I'm going to buy Hublot, or I'm going to buy a space on Hublot so I can do this. No, I need to see a demo. I need to see product features. Like, we're in a business where we're going to be compared to our competitors all the time. So to answer that question directly, I think it's a common misconception that TikTok is only for younger users. Now, the largest demographic may be uh, um, the younger generation and Gen Z and millennials. But we have to also remember that millennials are in their 30s and making, corporate decisions and things like that. Um, the education that's on TikTok does not stop. The education benefits do not stop just at the younger generation. So I think if you're thinking of B2C versus B2B advertising, I would look a little bit more into research as that. But as far as like just users and people that you can reach, I mean, there's people that are my parents' age that are on there that have 20,000 followers, and I think I have 112 or something,
Yeah, I think definitely this will come. It's every platform is evolving, and Instagram also evolved, right? That now recently, when I checked my analytics, my demographics is 34 to 45. Before it was the group younger, 25 to 34, and I believe that if you want to reach this 25 to 34 group, then you need to go to TikTok. And it's a very, very important group because they are decision makers. They have money to spend for on behalf of the work or personal, and it's coming. Yeah, it's not going away, definitely, and they're constantly evolving. So you can't just ignore it and come in 2 years and say the algorithm is not working because everyone is on TikTok. So yeah,
Right.
definitely. And what are your thoughts about Instagram? Today there was a new update that all the videos become a reel, right? And it just is constantly changing. And I believe being a marketeer, a social media marketing manager today is quite challenging because of all the changes, and Instagram being still fairly important.
So I am excited because I love IG Reels. So I'm not a video editor. I dabble in video editing, but I am not a video editor. I can do video editing for IG Reels. It's creative, it's short, the KISS principle. That's something I learned in college and it's stuck with me for a decade now. Keep it short and sweet. Keep it super simple. KISS principle. IG Reels is literally that. I've done a couple different reels as far as testing where we repurpose videos that we run on YouTube that do well. They don't do well on Instagram. They don't do well on IG Reels. I also find it interesting that there are a lot of ads that we can still run that are static images on Instagram. It's a lot of the organic content that's going to be deliberately pushed to people. That's going to be video content, and Instagram even made an announcement about that they were going to be prioritizing video content over static imagery and carousels and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I think there's a place for it all. Again, the B2C, B2B discussion is a little bit different. I think when people come to our page, they expect to see a little bit more of the reviews and analytical content. If you're a sole consulting, you're running your own business, put your face, put your, just as you do a lot of that. You said something earlier about you wish there was more time. You need like a full another day and 2 more sets of hands. I don't know how you do it all.
Yeah, you mentioned repurposing content. This is so important, and I think who can help a social media manager is someone who is good at video editing, because video is everything. You just need to understand how it works. So all the different formats is I believe it's 16:9, right?
Mhm.
or and then
2270 by 1080.
yeah, so all these formats that you can just change the formatting of the video and then post it on the platform in the short form under 1 minute or under 3 minutes and so on. And yeah, video, it's just so extremely important. And if you could now, let's say, if all the platforms disappear, which one would you pick to stay?
Oh, that's a good question. If I had to pick one to say, um, probably Instagram. I like Twitter. I've gotten more into Twitter. I can do without Facebook. Uh, LinkedIn's cool, but for my personal use, it's gonna be Instagram for sure. What about
And
you?
for business use?
Oh, for business use, I'm gonna go with LinkedIn.
I will go for Twitter.
For both or for
Yeah,
personal?
for both, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I think a lot of business comes from Twitter. It always starts with a short message and then, okay, what's your email? So that's the route. Um, I know that now a lot of creators who are frustrated with Instagrams are moving to Twitter to post their images there. You have spaces on Twitter, which
Hmm.
is audio conversations, and these are amazing for building community and building relationships. And I love this short form of content that is has the discoverability
Hmm.
feature. You can just get discovered, and now um, Twitter is really good for topics, so you can just select the topics that you want to follow. So, for example, I follow tech events, I follow business travel, I follow destinations, marketing, social media. And if you want to curate content, this is really good starting point because it is quite well targeted. It
Hmm.
is very well targeted, and yeah, that's a good platform. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I tweeted out the other day that Facebook and Instagram need to get their stuff together because the bots they're too much. I can't handle them on the ads, on our organic stuff even. The bots they're out of control.
Yeah, definitely. Um, and I think a platform has to be the platform. It's not Instagram trying to be TikTok or
Hmm.
YouTube trying to be TikTok. It just a YouTube has to be YouTube. TikTok is TikTok. Instagram is TikTok. And I think TikTok is the only one that really remained. Sorry, and Twitter is the only one that remained Twitter. So it's
Yeah.
not trying to be something else. Well, they try to do stories, but then they really abandoned it so quickly. So I think it's a good feature really to admit that it was a mistake and just go
Hmm.
on and introduce other features.
The same with
Yeah,
LinkedIn. They tried the stories too.
definitely. Yeah, yeah, it definitely didn't work. It's very interesting landscape, and and now there's a new platform, Be Real. I you heard about I just I can't anymore. I really don't have so many hours in the day to
I know. I'm trying to manage these five right now. So we'll get to TikTok and then maybe we'll talk about Be Real.
yeah. Definitely, that's also what I think. Um, so yeah, let's talk about the ROI. What's the ROI on social media?
Okay, so that's 100% a moving piece with each platform. Um it's really dependent, I think, on what your goal is. But a lot of the basics are like making sure you're reaching X amount of impressions and reach. I tend to look at impressions more because my hope is that it means so for those who aren't familiar, reach is how many people you've actually reached. Impressions is typically more because you've reached the same amount of people, but they may have viewed your ad or your video more than once. And I like to use that number because it's typically higher, but it's also telling in that people are interested in coming back and revisiting, and it's serving as an engaging piece. So if it's an ad and it's become engaging, then the algorithm will hopefully pick that up and push it out a little bit more. Where was I going with that? Did not expect IG. Yeah. Is that for personal use or business use?
Yeah, so I think that's when I asked that which platform would you pick if all platforms disappeared. So yeah, I'm curious who the user is because it doesn't show us who is asking the question. Yeah, maybe you can just sign in the end of the question. Yeah, so yeah, you mentioned that's for personal use, the IG. And for business, it would be LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. So yeah, so for the ROI, you say the number.
ROI, yes. Sorry about that. Yeah, I think engagement's a huge piece. Whether you're getting the click-through rate, I mean, it's all about the content. You have to look at the content. If you're putting out a static image, I'm probably going to look at the impressions more than I am through the click-through rate, because if my static image doesn't have a call to action or a blog or somewhere I'm directing people, I don't really care about the engagement. I care about the engagement, but not as much as I do the impressions. Who's looking at it? Is it being seen by the right audience? So I think ROI, you're going to have to take it case by case and platform by platform. Each piece that we look at, I mean, even for Hublot, I mean, we change our goals and our ROIs and our KPIs almost every quarter, so that we're looking at different things and being able at the end of the year be able to compare them and look at, okay, this was the best route to go. For instance, I looked at on Facebook, I ran an ad based on the terminology and the imagery that I use. It was our highest performing page follow ad ever. We got 33,000 followers in 1 month from one ad. Wow. And so I've been trying to recreate that. But those KPIs and the things that I'm looking at as far as that specific ad, I may not look at those same KPIs or whatever the return on investment is for LinkedIn or YouTube even. So definitely when you look at ROI, take it platform by platform, but don't overwhelm yourself. They all are kind of interchangeable. You just make a few tweaks here and there.
Definitely. I absolutely agree with you. I stopped looking at the number of likes because it's not even representative. And yeah, Instagram, for example, just recently I noticed on my posts that the hashtags bring new visitors. So that's actually quite an interesting KPI to look at, how many new people viewed your photos. So that's quite interesting. On LinkedIn, what I like is that they show the companies that viewed your profile and the post. So it's really, really different. Definitely, the platforms are so different, and depends what you want to achieve. And so, how do you reach your audience?
On social. Really just, I mean, I have a lot of I really like the empathetic, philanthropic side of social. So I tend to like to use things that are heartstring, pull on your heartstrings and things like that. I mean, that's why these videos on Instagram and TikTok are going so viral. People helping, people who are in worse situations than them, and it's an emotional connection. I always find it funny with social media because I tend to, over the years, I've worked for companies where I don't sell sexy products. I used to work for flood protection. I worked in retail for an interior designer, and so the interior designer was probably the closest I got to putting out, I guess, sexy content, if that's the word I want to use. But I'm working in tech in a software as a service. It's hard to really, you really have to try to figure out how to tell stories. And so I think through a campaign that we're running right now with client experience, I've enjoyed it because it talks about the actual communication and the pieces between our clients and our Hublot employees that are working with these clients, and that they care about how, like, if you're stressed out during your event, our client experience manager cares about that, and they want to help, and they want to suppress that anxiety and help calm your nerves and be in the green room with you. That's an emotional connection, and that's a story I want to tell, as opposed to being like, hey, well, we're in this big market with all of these competitors, but we have a really great product. Okay, well, I've heard this from everybody else, but what's the piece that's going to get people to be like, okay, Hublot cares about what I'm doing. We rebranded and came up with our new tagline is built for the world's most important events, yours. Because your event, like, we don't succeed unless you do, which was a huge piece of this last campaign we did.
Yes, I can definitely relate to what you just said about working with the customer experience member and who helps you in the green room when things don't go according to the plan. Because I have, yes, I have Gaurav, and the first session that I had, one attendee couldn't join on the stream, and he helped me with the WhatsApp, and then we called like a second screen, and I said, oh my god, I don't know what to do. So relax, everything will be solved. And it was solved, and it's just, oh my god, it was just like such a emotional moment that I could let that in the stream. So yeah, it was really very, very relatable what you just said. We have a question from Queen. How do you come up with story ideas for your business page and personal LinkedIn page?
So, well, I'll go the business route first. Kind of like I just said about, how look at it from a different perspective. How is everybody else selling their ads and their product? It is important to put out your product features and your competitive advantages, but getting creative. So how do you come up with story ideas? I mean, I guess on a high level, like kind of as I just said, was look at it from an emotional perspective. As cheesy as it is and cliche, like what will pull on people's heartstrings? I've had some really beautiful, even emotional moments at my last jobs where I've been able to make some differences in people's lives based on a Facebook post or something that had to do with my company, but we listened and we made a change. So talking about these relationships that you create with your customers, there's a lot of stuff online where people will, they'll film somebody giving somebody else $10, at the grocery store because they're short $10 at the store or whatever. And those, if the grocery store were to capture that and post that on their page, you're telling a story, and it's hopefully going to get the point across of, we care about when you come into our store, come here and come shop with us, and maybe you'll have the same experience. So really, like, think about it from a different perspective. Think about, okay, well, I work in tech and I work in sales, or I work in something that's very not sexy and kind of almost boring. What interests you, and what can you kind of pull out of that and be like, okay, this is a personal piece that's connecting it to a human. We started something at Hublot that I've used on hashtags on social called Humans of Hublot. Because we're not just Hublot, we are humans running Hublot. Gaurav is there to help you when you need it. Yuvraj is there. Devdutta, and all of these people are here to help you, and it's about being human because you're selling to humans.
Definitely. Yeah. Sound like a human on social media. It's very,
Yeah.
very important.
We don't like chatbots. Nobody likes
Yeah.
phone trees. Nobody likes chatbots. We're over that.
Yeah,
We need to
definitely.
talk to one
Absolutely.
another.
Definitely. And you have to share with us the link to your 33K follower ad the ad that generated 33K new followers. I would love to see this one as well.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and I'll share a
Yeah.
screenshot.
You can link in here afterwards.
This
Yeah.
yeah, this ad actually was a page follower ad that I ran on Facebook. Um, and it was a brand photo, and I had it match our like blue hues. We have like blue and orangey, yellow hues, with our rebrand. Everything's very calming and relaxing. Um, and it was just talking about Hubalove and what we believe the hashtag Hubalove means. And for those of you who don't know Hubalove, so Hubalo is our company. And then if you add the hashtag or the two letters VE on the end of it, becomes Hubalove. And so we talk about that as a community, that we care about each other as Hubalo employees, but also that we care about you as our clients. But then also there's a spin on it. It just stands for Hubalo Virtual Events. We do a lot more than virtual events. We do hybrid, in person, all that kind of stuff. But the VE does also stand for virtual events.
Awesome.
And it was a cute little ad where I just explained that, and it was very simple. And people really seemed to like that, and they followed us. 33,000 of them.
Wow, that's really, really impressive. Yeah, you will share the link later to this ad here
Yes.
on the chat. And so do you use any tools for scheduling?
Yes and no. I use scheduling. So right now I use Amplify. So shout out to Amplify. I really also enjoyed it. My last company, I used a program called Chat Meter. So shout out Chat Meter. Their team over there was fantastic. I think the scheduling tool for social media manager, and if you're in social media, it needs to be a social listening tool as well as a scheduling tool. You can have one without the other, but if you're going to pay for a platform and a tool to do it, you need both. Sometimes, in the same sense that I would say I like to do things organically through the platform, which I tend to do sometimes because maybe my link doesn't show up as it should on Twitter and I want to post it just through Twitter. But in the same sentence, like, you still need to go in and look at that social listening and understand, okay, well, I can do all of this scheduling and put this in here, but I need to look at my analytics and understand what's going on with these ads and all that kind of stuff. So
definitely, you need to have the context to continue your social media campaigns. It's so important. Yeah, social listening, that's maybe another topic for another chat because it's a huge topic and a very interesting one. Yeah, so now let's talk about events. Specific for when it's the event day, or maybe just before the event, during the event, after the event. What are the best tools to use for this purpose? And I will give you a little also example. I actually asked this question on Twitter and on LinkedIn, and I asked what channel would you prefer to follow for a live event coverage? And the poll on Twitter got most responses Twitter, and the poll on LinkedIn got the most responses LinkedIn. And actually it's a psychological result because people who responded LinkedIn, they obviously saw the poll on LinkedIn, and those who responded on Twitter saw it on Twitter. I didn't ask on Instagram, but
did you post the poll in the same, like, did you post Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Because I've always noticed there's a difference. And so when I put polls on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, it's the same poll, but I put the answers in different orders because a lot of times people will click the first answer or the last answer.
That's true.
I always try to mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, that's very psychological, right? And yeah, Personally, me, I think I'm the Twitter person. But what is the best channel for live event coverage?
For live event coverage, man, I think it depends on the event. Um, where we're running something like, for Hublot, this is just in terms of Hublot. We did a huge event mix back in March, and it was our first hybrid event, and it was incredible. Multiple continents, multiple viewing parties across the country or across the world. It was beautiful. It was awesome. Um, we did live streaming of the event, but it was behind the scenes live streaming, and that was on Instagram. Um, Obviously, Twitter, you have to have things set up with something like Restream or StreamYard. So there's an added step to that one. As far as what's the word I'm looking for? In terms of use of ease of use, that's the word I was looking for. I'm gonna go with Instagram Live, just because there's so much engagement that goes on there from Instagram Live, and people expect to see behind the scenes and engaging type events on Instagram Live, whereas things like TikTok Live, it's a lot of people just kind of going back and forth, communicating, writing in the comments. I think people will probably be a lot more inclined to pay attention to an event on like a LinkedIn Live or an Instagram Live.
You know what? You give me an idea for tomorrow. I actually going to visit a venue here in Heidelberg, where I'm based. Those who don't know Heidelberg is just 1 hour from Frankfurt in Germany. So tomorrow I'm going to visit a colleague in a hotel in Heidelberg, and I'm going to go live, I think, on Instagram, because I never done it, but it's so true what you say. I'm going to test it. It's brilliant. Yeah, instead of like doing like 10 stories and this is this room, this is this room, you just like you go with your phone and you do the site visit.
Mm-hmm.
It's I know it's not a breaking idea, but I just never done it. So for me, it's a brilliant idea. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, at my last company, like I said, we did a lot of philanthropic charitable work, and we had 90-minute long events where I streamed the whole thing on Instagram Live and Facebook Live. We didn't talk about Facebook. I think Facebook's a little bit different. If you have people sign up for an event, they're probably going to be directed to a platform or something. If you're going to do lives, you probably need to be in some sort of group where there's a lot of members. So I'm going to stick to my answer of Instagram Live and LinkedIn Live for sure.
It's very cool. Thank you so much for this, because I'm going to test it tomorrow and I'll let you know how it goes.
Good. I'm glad.
Cool. That's why we're doing it today. And I hope everyone watching us today, get inspired and also go to try some of the concepts we discussed today. And so we covered already a lot of topics. And my last question for today, last tips for live event coverage. And it can be live event coverage of virtual events. It can be live event coverage of live or hybrid events. What are your tips for event coverage on social media?
That's a great question, because that's really all the type of coverage I know about in a social aspect. Because if you were to ask my team, which would include Sneha and Rachel, Nirmohi, Arushi, Rachel would give a very different answer, because she's done a lot of hosting of live events in front of a large camera and not this phone, So her answer would probably be a little bit more professional than mine. She's had a lot more experience. I think there's a lot of forgiveness in live hosting, as far as like if you're on Instagram Live, Facebook Live, LinkedIn Live, that type of stuff. If you're hosting like a live event, you should probably be a little bit more prepared. But as far as like for my job, when I do social media lives and when I go live at an event, moving, keeping it moving. This has been a sit down, but if you look at podcasts and things like even that are sit downs, they change the background, they change the camera view, so you're paying attention. That's really important with that type of stuff. Even if you're not the best communicator as far as like engaging the audience and talking to them and going through the comments and all the engagements and loves and hearts and whatnot, keep it moving. Whether that's and even that's the beauty of live streaming and really organic type stuff. When you're on your phone, you can flip the camera around and show everybody where you are, and that gives you a second to breathe, collect your thoughts, think about the next thing that you want to talk about. It's a piece you should really keep under your belt. If you're struggling to get the words out, show people where you are, ask people questions. You can take the pressure off of you, ask people questions, and you can film them answering those questions.
Definitely.
But
And you
really
can
keep
bring your audience in. Yeah, you can also bring your audience in the room with you, even so they're remote. And I think that's fantastic communication that we have today available, and we should use it. Yeah, what I would add, what I do, because I do quite often Twitter coverage, I would just have all the names of the speakers saved on Google Doc, and I would just copy paste them because it will
great
be
tip.
very quick. Yeah, but I love your tips with the live, because what we discussed the entire chat today is video. Do video. So yeah, do you have any campaigns coming up with your video? If you can reveal, of course.
I'm sorry, any what?
Any campaigns coming up?
Oh, yeah. We have a really so I can't give details on it, but we have a really cool campaign coming up that I think a lot of people are gonna be very interested in.
Awesome.
I think with a lot of the changes in this industry, and even for my personal use or as like running social, I'm being told get creative. Let's try new things, and that's the route that Hublot is going. We know what our customers want, what they need, and now it's really just adapting all that together with our rebrand and becoming a really strong, reliable, dependable platform that people can use.
Definitely. And before we wrap up, I actually want to go back to the previous question, because you mentioned Rachel and content. And Rachel, she set a studio at IMAX. She recorded podcasts, which I find amazing idea, because you bring people to your stand and you create content. You come to the event to, of course, generate leads and show your brand, but you also create content at the event. And this is so powerful, because you have so many event professionals at the event who can be guests on your podcasts or on your video. So this is a huge opportunity. And I really, really loved it. So,
yeah, I mean, she's going not out of her way. It's part of her job, but she's taking that extra step to create community in ways that I think a lot of businesses or a lot of event tech companies aren't necessarily doing. We're Hublot. If somebody from Hublot comes up to you at an event, they're like, hey, I see that you're a senior level, whatever. You've probably got some great insights. I want to hear what you have to say. And, people are happy to hear their insight. And I think it's a great way to meet new people and get people talking. And, you'll eventually probably meet somebody that you knew on their, LinkedIn Live or whatever in the comments or something,
Definitely. Yeah, social media is a powerful tool to bring us together, to share ideas, to create new ideas. So, Amanda, thank you so much for today. If people want to get in touch with you, they can find you on LinkedIn, and where else?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I have all my social accounts. I'm on Facebook. Probably don't add me there. I don't really post on Instagram as much as I would like, but my Instagram is Amanda Please or Amanda S Please. And then, yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. It's linkedin.com/in/Amanda for marketing. But I'll leave a comment in here and y'all can come follow me. I will try and post those articles that I have listed so I can share more about social, because I need to do that. So that'll be my promise for this group of people watching, is I'll start posting my social content more on my page. So go follow me over on LinkedIn.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you so much, Amanda. Thank you, everyone watching us today. We will keep in touch, and I will keep following what Hubilo is up to and your upcoming campaign, which I'm already so curious about. And we will also link all the social media links of Hubilo in the comments. So Twitter, LinkedIn, and also you have now a new Twitter space, right? Once a month. So we can also link this. And lots of opportunities to engage with Hubilo. So everyone watching us today, go check it out, and we'll stay connected until next live.
Thank you, Irina. Bye, everybody.
Bye.